I don't think cozy games are having a moment. I think cozy gamers are here to stay. We have blankets and snacks. We're not going anywhere.
We've got with us the developers of indie hit Unpacking, Witchbeam, with us today. Thank you so much for joining us.
I'm Sanatan Mishra, one of the founders at Witchbeam and currently leading development on our next project, Tempopo.
My name's Jeff Van Dyke. I'm also a founding member of Witchbeam, and I am the composer and sort of audio person for the team.
I'm Nicole Stark. I'm the lead artist on Tempopo.
So we're going to talk about Tempopo, the new game, in a moment. But I want to kick off with Unpacking. If anyone doesn't know it, it's essentially a game about unpacking boxes, but it's more than that, isn't it? Why was this game so successful? Why did it catch people's attention?
Why did it connect with everybody? I think probably because the story in it is very unexpected. It's not obvious that there's a story there. I mean, when you're on the surface, the game looks like you literally just unpack things and put them away, which is obviously what you do in the game. But the items tell a story, and when you start paying attention to the story, you realize the story is quite incredible, quite a heartfelt story about this person's life, and I think it makes people feel really clever while they're playing it when they deduce the story that comes from it. So yeah, I think that's why. And
it won an award too. Won lots of awards actually, but I'm thinking of the BAFTAs, Game of the Year, and also Best Narrative. Why do you think, especially for judges that were looking into this, kind of those industry experts, it really, caught them?
I would say probably because there haven't been a lot of games like this. And I think the execution was really well done, dare I say. Our designers, Ren Breyer and Tim Dawson, really got into the nuance of the items and the character, and they just dove really deep and made this amazing, these items that have all this meaning. And, people are still trying to unpick and unravel all the meaning behind it. And I think the judges saw that depth and were, really impressed by it.
It's got a heartfelt story. Would you also agree that it falls into the category of cozy games?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And, on that, I feel like we talk a lot more about, games being kind of a bit more of a mindful experience for a lot of people. You've got your big shooters, you've got your big adventure games, but this is something quite different. Why are cozy games having their moment?
I think there's kind of no single explanation for this. In my mind, there's so many different avenues that are pushing it, but they haven't really gone away in a lot of ways. If you think about it, going back, the premier developers in this space who used to make cozy games or all ages, family-friendly games, that kind of thing, they've kind of aged up with their audience and leaned so hard into the prestige, gritty HBO style, dramas and that kind of thing that they've just left it completely open for somebody else to come in and do these experiences, which is what indie developers have done with us with Unpacking and now Tempopo and a lot of other people as well. You have to kind of address these people who want these experiences, and they've wanted them for a long time, and now there's an opportunity to be there and be creating something new for them in this space. It's something that Nicole is quite passionate about, I know.
Yeah, I don't think cozy games are having a moment. I think cozy gamers are here to stay. We have blankets and snacks. We're not going anywhere.
You say that there are loads of, other titles that people could mention, things like Stardew Valley, things like Animal Crossing. Obviously, they had a big moment during the pandemic because people, couldn't go outside. It was also quite a distressing time for a lot of people. How do we make sure that cozy games are still kind of hitting the right notes with people who want them now that we're kind of not having lockdowns, we're not having that same sort of experience?
I would say people need cozy games to relax. I think society and life can be stressful and difficult and day-to-day grind, and we need people need cozy games to relax, and we've discovered that you don't even have to play them. You can watch them on YouTube. You can watch other people playing the games. And that sounds weird to watch somebody else play a game, but I do it all the time, and it's actually quite enjoyable to watch somebody play a game. And now you can watch somebody play a cozy game, and so this person, it's somebody with a soft voice and soft actions, and the whole thing is relaxing. And after a stressful day, there's a lot of us that actually need that kind of thing in our lives.
So much about being genuine and heartfelt as well. These experiences, they're quite often, people think of them as being maybe a little bit manipulative or something else like that, but they're not. Like the reason it works is that so many of these cozy experiences are genuine, they are heartfelt, and that's what connects from one human to another.
And you mentioned there people watching other people playing these games on your Twitch, your YouTube, any of the streaming services. Was that kind of a consideration in the back of your mind when developing this, and then also developing your next title, that you wanted to make it quite friendly, not just for people playing it, but people watching it?
You have to make your game fun to share in that way. Like, even if you're not talking about the current landscape, which is Twitch and YouTube and Let's Plays and everything that's going out there, if you go back to the history of games, they're a social experience, right? Pong, player versus player, eventually, that kind of thing. People sitting on the couch playing together, families playing together. There's a social element to even single player games where people like to share in that experience. And so you'd always have to design your games around that element, to me anyway. People playing these mysterious games of my childhood, and they go and talk at school about what they found in their adventures and kind of share things. And you see that now even with gritty games, Dark Souls, people are always talking about what they did in their run and their element. There's such a social aspect to everything we do, and then you have to build around that, and you have to intend for it now with the rise of YouTube and Twitch. It's crucial.
There's so many people out there being just incredibly creative and innovative with this kind of content. And I love that the stuff that we create inspires them to be creative.
And now, of course, you've got another title coming, Tempopo. Can you tell us a little bit about that? Because it's very musical in a way that is a bit different from Unpacking.
So Tempopo is a very chilled, sort of relaxing puzzle game where you are rescuing musical flowers from gardens that are floating in the sky. And it looks and sounds as magical as it sounds. So there are these flowers that are singing at you. They are lost. And you ask these Tempopo characters to run around and rescue the flowers. And you do this by placing instructions on the ground in the world. And when the Tempopo hop on these instructions, they do what you tell them to do. What happens is that when you push play on the game and you watch the Tempopo do the moves that you've ask them to do, everything moves in time to the music. So when they break down a wall or they jump up in the air, it's all in time to the music. So it all looks like some sort of choreographed dance. And so with the flowers that are singing, and the flowers are in shapes of different musical instruments, like a trumpet or a voice or a harp. Those flowers play that instrument and that sound. And so they're playing in time to the music. The Tempopo are dancing around, trying to get to them in time to the music. And it all feels really good. I don't know how else to describe it.
The thing for me, and thinking about it more from I often think about things less kind of grandiose and more mechanical when I have to implement a design or something like that, is that all of this flourish and beautiful soundscape and lovely visuals that go on here, it actually helps with the puzzle experience so much. The intention is for somebody to sit down with the game and have a sense of calm wash over them so that they can use their brain. They can use like all of that power that would otherwise potentially be a bit frustrating. But if you're kind of subdued and surrounded by this lovely music, everything in time with it, everything moving in time with it, everything's animated in sync with it, you can really enjoy yourself and feel that relaxation wash over you. It also helps purely from a timing perspective of if we're talking about a puzzle game where you have to plan out your moves, where you're going to go, what you're going to do. If everything is in sync with this musical heartbeat that Jeff has designed so elegantly, you can actually get a feel for it, even if you're playing without the audio. We're very big on the fact that if you turn off the audio, the game should still function really, really well. That's a core accessibility concern, right? Everything is synced that way, and you can feel it, and you can see it, and you can hear it. So it's like coming at you from every angle.
And how do you get that balance? Because there's a fine line between something being relaxing and something being too easy. And at the same time, if something's really hard and frustrating, then it's probably quite hard to relax. What's the secret there? What's the magic?
Well, that's why it's about the feel, right? It's a soft game. It's a comfortable game. It is a challenging game in terms of what you're being asked to do and how you actually have to solve these puzzles. It's not overly challenging. It's not trying to like make you frustrated or angry. But what we've found in testing with people in our own designs and like building it for ourselves is that the more relaxed mental state you can put someone in, the more you can actually ask of them to compel themselves to try and solve these puzzles, right? To actually make interesting decisions, to repeat the process, to think about what they want to change. So we have a lot of systems in place that make that easier as well. There's no real-time interaction of any kind. You don't have to click in time with the rhythm. It's all planning and execution, and they're completely separated out. You can take as long as you want to plan. You can test the execution as many times as you want. And then because of the soundscape, because of the gorgeous visuals, I mean, Nicole's done such a phenomenal job on the characters and the environment. We're hoping that this relaxed state that we put you in lets you focus on the puzzles and really try to solve them without that frustration, without having to make them like meaningless or trivial.
Obviously, it's quite a tough time for a lot of studios with getting funding, and even winning an award is no guarantee necessarily of that. How do you see the situation at the moment for indies, especially those that might be struggling a bit more than you?
I think the only word you can use is brutal. That sums it up pretty well. I was seeing teams all around the world stop and close shop and have to change track and change careers or do something else. The terms are getting worse. The funding opportunities are getting worse. It's difficult for everyone out there. I will say, though, that we're in the most privileged position that an indie team can be. We came off the back of a game that's just absurdly successful for the scope and size of who we are as an entity, right? Unpacking's done very, very well for us and been so respected by everybody that it's allowed us to make our next game and also to try and give back to the local community here in Australia by directly supporting like some teams we know that are making great games. So we're trying to fund a few projects with Gubbins last year. We're doing more this year, and hopefully next time you're doing the show, Nicole can come on and talk about the game that she's going to make after we finish Tempopo. But I think we just feel terrible for everyone that's been impacted by like what's happening in the game space. Everyone here knows somebody who's been impacted directly, like a person that we know physically here, as well as hundreds of people in our greater connection on social media and the internet. It's brutal.
Of the kind of games that you're making, where do you see the potential? Do you see this space growing? And if so, how are these games going to get even bigger?
I think a lot of the barriers between the kind of games people want to make and the kind of games people want to play have been removed. And I think people are going to have the expectation that will continue. So you're going to see a lot more weird, wild, wonderful things.